information to people. What they do with it is their own business. As long as folks stick to the laws of the land, preferably the 10 Commandments of God, and if you look at those carefully, you'll find they're perfectly designed so that everybody can be happy. You don't have the big guys beating up on the little guys. You don't have the smart guys foxing us ignorant people out of our livelihood. And so that if people live by those codes, I don't care what else they do, it's their business. So I'm not one to try to force other people to believe like I do. It's altogether possible that I might be wrong. And so anyway, that's what I'm about. Any more questions?
You actually have these bones that you
We have them, yes, we have them. We have artifacts. If anybody wants to come to the house and take a look, you can come see them, folks. And we have it on video, you can see that.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much. These books are available somewhere here in town. And if you want to find out more about what we're doing, just get one of these and read it. And it looks like maybe there's some extras here. Thanks a lot, folks. I appreciate you coming to welcome me home.
She did say a little bit. Are you going to try to do interviews?
Hey there.
Yeah, they got it in the slot they wanted. They didn't get a vote, so they didn't get a vote. This is, I don't know, this is like
Okay, good to see you.
Oh, that's a great. Let's go. Go right out the main door.
Yeah, you're right.
How you doing?
Doing well today.
I'm getting a lot of exercise, that's for sure. Practicing my backward walking.
I want to hire you for Channel 4 or Channel 10.
Yeah, it's going to cost. More copy of that.
Absolutely.
They never do that one either.
Archaeologist tells how he escaped from Turkey next on the scene at 10. U.S. troops are going back to Saudi Arabia.
SMB, Nashville. From Channel 4 News, this is The Scene at 10 with Demetria Kaladimos, Jeff McAtee, Bill Hall, and Rudy Kalis.
It's an amazing story of capture and escape. We first told you at 6 o'clock about the homecoming of Nashville archaeologist Ron Wyatt. Tonight, more about how he says he escaped from Turkish guerrillas. Carlos Bain has this update.
Amateur archaeologist Ron Wyatt says he and 4 other Westerners managed to escape from their captors after he overpowered their driver. He says they got out of the car and walked to freedom.
And I held him until all of us got out. And by that time, the military people who were patrolling were within about 100 yards of us. So
there has been a lot of doubt surrounding whether Wyatt and his group were really kidnapped. Some reports out of Turkey claim that the whole event has been staged. Wyatt says jealousy on the part of other archaeologists is behind the claims of staging.
The Turkish government has already received 2 anonymous letters that say I've been raising funds to support the terrorists and that we were in collusion with them. However, the Turkish military, we showed them exactly where these people operated and where to find them.
Despite the questioning about what actually happened in Turkey, Wyatt is planning to go back next summer. His wife, Mary, says if he does go back, she will go along with him.
Because I was just distraught when I first found out. And then my daughter and I, we stood in the hall and I said, Amanda, we got to pray because we can't do anything. And we did. And we have been completely at peace about it.
Wyatt continues to say that he has discovered the site of Noah's Ark. He says the Turkish government recognizes him as the discoverer of the site. And Wyatt says he'll continue publishing what he finds.
Our efforts are to provide accurate information to people. What they do with it is their own business.
Ron Wyatt says he is close to proving that the remains he found belongs to Noah's Ark. He says he plans to spend his time preparing for more archaeological expeditions throughout the Middle East. Carlos Bain, Channel 4 News.
More than
Wyatt and 4 companions had gone to investigate an archaeological site in Turkey last August when they ran into a roadblock manned by armed Kurdish rebels.
These people came up with automatic weapons and grenades, and shall we say, they couldn't speak our language, but we got the message right quick. They made us put our hands up, and then they took us off up through the hills.
When Turkish Army search teams found and surrounded the kidnappers, Wyatt says he and his companions were lined up for execution.
They would have killed us. In fact, one of the terrorists, who was pretty much a tough guy, was standing right in front of me, and tears were running down his face, so he thought the end had arrived. And at that point, I wasn't so sure, but what he was right.
Instead, the Kurds drove the 5 men to a nearby town where they were able to make their escape by jumping the driver of the car.
There was a great deal of the time that we were out there that I could not visualize ever seeing my family again. And that's not an enjoyable feeling to have.
Wyatt appeared in good health and good spirits, and he says he's convinced now more than ever he has discovered Noah's Ark. He's planning another expedition to Turkey next summer. Wyatt says his kidnappers were communists who want a separate Kurdish homeland, and although the leaders were adults, most of his captors were teenagers. Chris?
You know, Mark, we've been covering Wyatt's activities the past 10, 15 years or so. Has his claim to have found Noah's Ark being accepted?
Not by many. Even some of the scientists who have worked with him before, they believe Wyatt's found a naturally occurring rock formation, not Noah's Ark.
Thanks. In other news,
I reached over the back seat, pinned him down, jerked the car out of gear, aimed it at the middle of a bridge, and he hit the brakes. And I held him until all of us got out.
After 3 weeks in mountainous eastern Turkey, the 58-year-old adventurer suffered an ankle sprain and lost several pounds. But he pledges to return next June for the next expedition in what has become his lifelong crusade. Jim Melchiori, Channel 2 News, Nightside.
Well, Ron's back, and there's this morning's Tennessean newspaper with a real good photo of Kim and Amanda and David Van Kevering. And it's the time, yeah, it's September 25th. Hey, it's Sandra's birthday today. It's a good photo.
We will be talking with an explorer about his search for Noah's Ark and his experience while being held captive by Kurdish rebels. President Bush follows a quiet weekend by hitting
news, followed by World Day here on CNN.
Imagine.
This is CNN.
United Nations nuclear inspectors
place of Noah's Ark. One explorer believes it is, and he'll explain why in today's call-in segment.
This is CNN Morning News with Donna Kelly and Bob Kane, bringing you the latest headlines plus information to help you make the right choices.
Plus is firming up plans to send a team.
New York Avenue, usually bustling with shoppers, draws a different kind of crowd over the weekend.
Activists in California accuse the governor of selling out gay and lesbian citizens.
Quick work by rescuers puts a group of whales back where they belong.
And has an explorer really found the site of Noah's Ark? You can question him yourself in today's call-in segment.
Modern-day trouble for an explorer. We'll hear his story and take your calls just ahead on CNN Morning News.
An amateur explorer trying to unravel an ancient mystery found trouble, if not his prize. Ronald Wyatt and 4 colleagues ventured into eastern Turkey in search of Noah's Ark, but they were abducted by Kurdish rebels and held for 3 weeks. They were finally released, and Wyatt returned home to Dallas last week. Wyatt says he found the final resting place of the famed Ark, and he joins us today to tell us about his quest. Mr. Wyatt, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Donna.
Let's talk about when you were taken first. What happened?
Well, we had planned to go to a town down in southeast Turkey, and we had planned to get there before dark. I've been out there about 32 times, and you do not travel after dark. There's road repairs, and we ended up getting caught in this roadblock by these terrorists.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kurdish rebels took you. Did they tell you why they took you, and you were taken for about 3 weeks?
Well, basically, they said nobody listened to them unless they had hostages. So that was their expressed reason for doing it.
And then why did they say they let you go?
Well, the news dropped off. They had these shortwave radios, and as long as they and we were in the news, they were quite happy to hang on to us. Once that quit, then I guess they knew that to release us would get them back in the news again.
Mm-hmm. How concerned were you for your life?
The terrain itself was, it's called the Black Hill by the Turkish military, and that's a very apt description. You could get killed or maimed very easily just walking through there, running through this area, which we were forced to do night after night.
Mm-hmm. And who found you? And I was reading in some notes that you kind of left a trail, didn't you?
Yes. I put some money in my pocket, and I dropped $495 at intervals along the way, and this did lead the military to this Black Hill area. And these Turkish police officers returned the money after we were out.
Let's go on to the Ark. What makes you think that this is Noah's Ark?
Well, we have the word of a photogrammetry expert that this large object is a boat. And also its location on a mountainside at 6,300 feet fits in with the fact that there's only enough water on the planet to increase the sea level to 7,000 feet above present sea level if ice caps and everything were melted down. Also, there's, shall we say, boxcar loads of timbers out there. Donna, I have one right here in front of me.
Okay, let's take a look and let's talk about that to continue our chat here. Tell us what that is.
Well, this is a piece of deck board. We used a subsurface interface radar system to look down through the boat. We were not allowed to do an extensive excavation, which is first choice. in archaeology once you feel you've identified something. But anyway, we found tremendous amounts of these timbers, and the Turkish authorities had their people dig this up and allowed me to bring it home to have it analyzed. And it is indeed petrified wood. In particular, it's Peki cypress.
Okay, so that's petrified wood. Now,
Yes.
How are you going to go about dating that, and what kind of analyzation are you going to use to see if that is the Ark?
Well, what archaeologists are required to supply in order to identify a site, Donna, is physical remains, and then if you're fortunate enough to have inscriptions, this is a real plus, and then of course a local tradition. And there's tremendous amounts of physical remains, and there are a great number of inscriptions, and of course this whole story of the Ark landing on Ararat. The location of this boat is 12 miles south of the big mountain, and of course there's a long-time local tradition that the Ark landed in that area.
You know, well-known biblical story. Did you find some animal remains as they were supposed to be on there 2 by 2?
We did. There's a large amount of what's called corpullites by geologists and archaeologists. These are animal droppings that have fossilized. We also found a fossilized antler. Now, the possibility has been brought up that this might be a barn or some other type structure. Antlers are associated with non-domesticated animals. And of course, this tells us that at least one undomesticated animal was on this boat at some point in time. And the corpullites that are on there, of course, we can identify the animal by the shape and whatnot of the droppings. Now, we also found something, and I guess if I have a favorite object, it's this. This is a rivet, and it's quite a sophisticated riveting system. It's a washer about approximately 3.5 inches in diameter with a shaft that's a little over 1 inch in diameter, and it's been struck while it's hot, and this splays the end of the shaft out so it cannot slip back through this washer. Now, there are thousands of these on there. These are found in the radar scans.
I need to go on for just a moment.
Sure.
I guess I don't need to tell you, of course, that you do have some critics. We had a story last Friday, and also a scientist at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico who analyzed the artifact says that there's no way that they are pieces of the Ark. And one of the critics in a report that we had on Friday says that he doesn't think that it's anything more than a rock formation, and that perhaps you've been watching too many Indiana Jones movies.
Well, I do like Indiana Jones movies. Now, the gentleman, since you didn't mention his name, I will just say that perhaps he didn't want his name mentioned. But we have, shall we say, hours of footage of this individual saying this is indeed Noah's Ark. Now, I have a little problem with somebody that says, yes, there's even intervaled metal readings on there. He actually himself found a right-angled iron bracket, and we have him on video identifying this as a right-angled iron bracket. And he took it to Los Alamos National Laboratories and had it analyzed, and we have the results of that. It was 91% pure ferric oxide. So I don't have any problem with critics. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I hate to see them doing a 180.
All right, we need to take a break here, but we will come back. And if you'd like to ask Explorer Ronald Wyatt a question about Noah's Ark, you can give us a call, 404-221-0218. We are back with Ronald Wyatt. He is an explorer who claims to have found Noah's Ark, and we are ready for your calls. San Georgia, you're on the air first.
Hi.
Hi, Georgia.
I was wondering, after such an incredible ordeal, are you going to make any plans to go back in the near future?
Yes, ma'am. We have promises from the Turkish government that they will issue us the permit that we wanted. The only thing that's happened is since we wasted 21 days out in the woods out there in eastern Turkey, we're going to have to postpone what we were going to do until next summer.
Okay, Connecticut, you're on the air.
Hi. About 4 or 5 years ago, there was a documentary done also on the finding of a piece of wood from Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat, and it was carbon dated and said to have been authentic. Is this what you have found, an extension of that since it had been lost and never found again?
No, ma'am. This is totally different. The piece of wood you're referring to is a piece found by Ferdinand Navarra back in 1957. The place where he said it was carbon dating was checked with, and he had not had carbon dating. It appears from Turkish records in particular that in 1955 he and some people actually took this piece of wood up and put it in the ice crevasse. And the reason I say this on the air is we have affidavits to that effect. And so no, this is not. And an actual test done by the late Jim Irwin, the astronaut on Apollo 15, showed that particular piece of wood not to exceed 700 years in age.
All right, we need to take a break here, but we'll come back with many more of your phone calls right after this. You stay with us.
They're big.
Most awesome creatures ever.
I really feel tingly all over. I fell, No.
Never heard of this one. More ferocious than my sister. Ugh.
I love the Jurassic period.
A&E presents the biggest story ever told, Dinosaur, a family special hosted by Walter Cronkite.
This is CNN.
Here's an update of our lead story.
Thank you, and we are back with Ronald Wyatt. He is an Ark explorer, and Texas, you're on the air.
Hello. Mr. Wyatt, could you tell me something about the inscriptions?
Yes, there's quite a number and variety of inscriptions. Most of them are of the nature of petroglyphs. As you know, these are chiseled in stone. And we have inscriptions of 8 people leaving a boat that's, shall we say, on top of a wave and covered by a rainbow, or shall we say there's a rainbow over these. This is in several locations out there. We also have petroglyphs of some of the animals that were on the boat, specifically of a giraffe. I'm unaware that anybody has seen a giraffe in eastern Turkey in historical times. So these are some of the inscriptions I have, not with me, well, in the studio, but not up here. There's an inscription of 8 people in a boat, and as you may or may not be aware, the importance of the individual to the group is indicated by their size. And so we have a father person, a mother person, and 3 sons and 3 daughters or daughter-in-laws in this boat. And there's 2 ravens in this picture, one over a mountain some distance from the boat and one over the actual boat. And as you can appreciate, we can't give the exact locations of these because we have had people steal some of these inscriptions.
And weren't the ravens sent out after the 40 days and 40 nights to check and see if it was still raining?
That's approximately right, Donna. It was after 150 days.
Okay.
Not of storm, but after they'd been in the boat that long.
Okay, Georgia, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. I was just wondering how the size of the structure compared with the dimensions in the Bible.
Okay, Moses was educated in Egypt. We're told that in the New Testament and also in the Old Testament. And the Royal Egyptian cubit, which he was familiar with and we believe used in the giving the dimensions of the ark, is 20.6 inches, and 300 of those is exactly 515 feet, and that is the length dimension of the boat. The boat has splayed some and this is to be expected in an aging boat. So the width is a little greater than that specified in the Bible, but you figure the degree of splaying and you come up with very close measurements, very similar to those in the Bible.
New York, hello.
Yes, I've been studying archaeology and ancient history for a long time, and Old Persian, and I'm Jewish, and I was educated in the Old Testament, and I think it's important for people to realize that archaeologists and geologists have been in the Middle East for well over 100 years using modern methods. Many of them are dedicated Christians and Jews and Muslims, all of whom believe in the Old Testament. And the reason why none of them think that Noah's Ark could be on Mount Ararat is because, from what we know of modern science, it would take Mount Ararat being, 13,000, 14,000 feet, it would take such a huge flood to place an ark there that the flood would leave signs all over, virtually all over the Middle East, and there are no signs whatsoever of such a huge flood. There are small local floods in, Sumer and Eridu and Kish and places like that, but virtually no signs, no geological signs of a flood.
Mr. Wyatt?
Okay, I appreciate your observation there, sir. Now, we will have to agree with you on the fact that this boat could not be on Ararat for many reasons. It's a post-flood volcano. There's glaciers with the associated glacier flow, and the Bible specifies that the ark landed in mountains, plural, of Urartu, and that was quite a large empire out there. And so it is not on Mount Ararat. It's 12 miles to the south on a place called Mount Masr, or Mountain of Pain, or something to that extent. Now, as to your worldwide evidences of a flood, I will disagree with you there, sir. There is evidence of worldwide flood because of marine fossils at the Cretaceous level. Everything, and that's a roughly average of 7,000 feet around the globe, and everything above that is obviously upthrusted material. And so when you say that these people all agree, I have to agree that the predominance of people in this type of research say this, but sadly they are quoting the textbooks that they studied in school, and they have not done field archaeology on this, or they would not say that.
Ark Explorer Ronald Wyatt, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Donna.
In tomorrow's call-in segment, we'll talk with a former CIA official about the Gates nomination for chief of the agency.
We're running. All right. Now, Bruce, ask about this.
Say, Ron, I appreciated the CNN broadcast and interview. You did a good job in an explanation of the ark.
Thanks, Bruce. These folks are real professionals. They put the questions in a professional manner, made it real easy, to give the answers, and shall we say, they screened the questions that came in, so they cut out, rantings and ravings of unreasonable people that would sometimes call in under those situations.
They screened the calls.
They do. The last fella that made the comments about there's no evidence of universal flood and all that, he told them that he was going to ask a different question. And then once he got put through, he went into all that rigmarole. But I think that was a godsend, because it gave us an opportunity to give some data that would not have come up had he not done that.
That's right.
So we were real happy with the way it worked out. And what I do to make sure things work out, I ask God to have everybody watching that he wants watching, and arrange for everything to be said that he wants said. And so this is authorizing or requesting him to intervene and to overrule the matter.
That's right.
And so anyway, I found that things work out a whole lot better if you put it in his court.
Absolutely. Did you get a chance to witness to any of the other folks that work at CNN, like the ones down in the lobby that got to see some of the other material? And
yeah, we did, Jim. The producer of the news program that we appeared on at CNN, first name of Mark, I've forgotten the last name, but he said the other things were very interesting and exciting. But he said when you showed that rivet, he said that did it for me. He says I don't doubt it. You know, that convinced me. And so there were a large number of people that just came around and asked questions, from the lady that kind of polished my, powdered my face up so I wouldn't, you know, shine too much on there. She was thrilled with it. We took along 6 extra books and passed those around. And so it was just a very gratifying experience, very positive experience.
Those are good folks to make contact with because you'll be back.
Right. Did they request you to come back?
Well, I've had, you know, things like 2020, Tom Gerald, he says anytime you want me to work with you on any of these things, he gave me his home phone number and his office phone number and all of that. And of course these folks invited us to come back when we had some new information and whatnot.
All right. Wonderful.
Yes. It was a very positive experience.
Someone very special is on that train. That's why you're driving a Buick LeSabre. You love its powerful V6 engine, anti-lock brakes, and steel safety cage body unit. But you bought LeSabre for the dual airbags, one for you and one for that very special person who sits next to you. LeSabre from Buick, the new symbol for quality in America.
Dean Witter believed in listening.
Listen, not only to what our clients say, but what they mean. Each client has a level of comfort. Endeavor to find it. We measure success one investor at a time.
We will return to the natural world on the Discovery Channel.
In a land with no rules, they rule. Come face to face with the super predators on Safari. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Only on the Discovery Channel.
Teachers inspire dreams, shape lives, and give us hope for the future. Yet too often their contributions go unnoticed. There are over 2 million teachers in America, but not even the best get the recognition they deserve. That's why State Farm started the Good Neighbor Award for teachers. To tell them, we appreciate what you're doing for our children.
Somewhere in the world is somebody you'd love to be able to call every single day. Now MCI's Friends Around the World Anytime gives you the lowest priced international call to that special someone 7 days a week. For a limited time, you get 40% off on weekdays and 60% off on weekends. Our greatest savings ever to any person you choose. Join Friends Around the World anytime.
Hello.
So, what'd you think of that Bonneville? Did you drive it?
Oh, that SSCI is terrific.
Yeah.
Supercharged, traction control, ABS, dual airbags, leather. What a car.
I told you.
And you were right. It's thousands less than the BMW or the Lexus.
Well?
I'm picking it up tomorrow. I owe you one, pal.
Okay. I'll take a white one.
Ancient myths, forbidden fortunes, tales of conquest, riches lost through the ages. Terra X, followed by The Treasure Hunters. Tuesday, beginning at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Only on the Discovery Channel.
Tuition's pretty high.
Working hard for your money isn't enough.
Is this negotiable?
Today, your money has to work harder for you.
No way we can afford this.
But
I love it.
Call now for your free Wall Street Journal guide to understanding money and investing. It focuses on financial markets, the risks and the rewards of investments, so you can make informed choices that could help you achieve your personal goals. Make your money work harder than ever. Call now to get your guide free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, where you'll find information you need to get ahead and stay there. News, insight, and analysis that can affect decisions you make. From world events to issues that mean the world to you, the Wall Street Journal hits home every business day. Get 10 weeks of the Journal for just $36 and the Guide to Understanding Money and Investing free with your paid subscription. Call toll-free 800-423-1300. That's 800-423-1300.
We now return to the natural world on the Discovery Channel.